Getting leads is one thing as a mortgage advisor. That's hard on its own, getting the bums on the seats to be able to talk to them. But then closing those leads and getting them to say yes is a whole other kettle of fish. It's a completely different skill. That is sales. The other one is marketing. And so today, in today's episode, I want to talk about 3 things every client needs to hear before they say yes. These are 3 things you have to do in a discovery call before the client will actually proceed to work with you. And if you do these 3 things and you do them well, they'll actually pretty much beg to work with you because they trust you that much. My name is Ash Borland. I'm a business coach and brand strategist helping mortgage brokers simplify success. I've coached hundreds of advisors over the years, improve their impact and income, and I want to do the same for you today. The first thing that a client needs to hear when they're sitting in front of you in discovery call is that I understand what you're going through. Clients want to feel seen. They want to know that you get it. Now you do this, and the way that I do this when I work with my clients is that we talk about building out the first half of a discovery call all around the client first. The client needs to be at the forefront of the discovery call. If you dive straight into, tell me what it is, that you need, your mortgage, left, right, center, and you're just diving straight in, or even worse, you dive in and go, let me tell you my service. This is what I do. My fees are X, Y, and Z. I'm going to jump in and do my IDD straight from the get-go. Any of those things, this is a big no-no. Now, from an IDD perspective, from a compliance perspective, I understand that you shouldn't be giving advice until you have run through the IDD, and that's absolutely fine and completely makes sense. But in the initial part of the discovery call, you're not going to give advice because that's not the case. So you'll be okay. You're just trying to understand what their situation is. So for the first 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it may be, you want to sit down with these clients. You want to understand them, ask them open questions, make them feel like you understand what they're going through and genuinely care. Don't just try and do it as a box ticking exercise. Ask them, what made you choose me today? How far along in the process are you? Have you found a house you like? Have you seen any other advisors? Where's your deposit from? Open these questions up. Try to get as much from them as possible, but try to learn the situation. And a good thing you can do with this little pro tip is that you can actually parrot back to them stuff they have said. So if they said something, you say, what I'm hearing you, I love this quote, it's what I'm hearing you say is X. So you're effectively mirroring back to them what they have said to you and how you're underlining that or highlighting that as important. And that's really useful. A couple of terms and sayings I like to use with this, by the way, is exactly that. Just want to highlight that this is important to you. That's a good one to say. Another one I love to do is if you want to learn more about a specific topic, and this is one gets people all the time, is something where you say, can we just double click into that one for a second? So double click, it just gets people when you say this one. And it's because it's a very visual thing. We know that when we double click into something, we open it up. You talk about deposit. That's really interesting. Can I just double click into that for a second and just expand on it? And people get that reference straight away. But what you're doing here is you're making the client have their time to open up about you. You should not be talking about yourself at all for at least the first 20 minutes, preferably 30 minutes of a discovery call. Caveat on this, all discovery calls should be an hour. Anything less than that, honestly, it's not going to be good enough. You're not going to get the client to the end, in my opinion, from a mortgage perspective, different in different industries, but from a mortgage perspective, you need an hour for a good discovery call. The second thing that they need to hear is that I've helped others in your shoes. So you need to demonstrate that you have helped others in that situation. Show them it's possible because proof builds trust. Now, there is a caveat on how you do this. Do not just say, I've helped X lots of people do lots of different things. That's not the way you want to do it. How you actually want to do it is you want to break down and use subtle references to people in similar situations. So you've said, actually, I had a client in a very similar situation to yourself who had this thing happen. Does that sound similar to you? And get them to agree. But what you're doing here is you're subtly showing social proof that you've done this. So it's not, look at me, look how great I am. It's saying, I had somebody in X situation, then ended up at Y with the work we did together. Is that the type of thing you're after? So you're doing it in a very subtle way. If you bring up slides or go and check out my testimonials, all that, that's a massive no, and it's a really big turn off for people. But if you do it this way, if you really do double down and focus on trying to show the proof and show them it through an organic way, really vital. A great way you can do this, if you have a pre-booking system that can email people with social proof before they come on or redirect them to your testimonial and case study. Case studies, by the way, are better than testimonials. So case studies being examples of how you've helped people and what you've done. If you've got a page on your website, pro tip on that, send them to there first, and then when they come to you, that's going to be the case. If someone signs up to my waiting list, some of you listen to this will know, you will get a sequence of emails. I think it's about 7 emails over a period of maybe 8 weeks, where you will get social proof from me of case studies of clients I've worked with. I actually strategically email these people so that when they know, when we get on those calls, they already have this base level of social proof and trust around what I do. That is a real pro tip. Don't have to do that yourself. You can just drip feed it through the process, but do not, whatever you do, say here's an example, because like in a call, in a chat, in a conversation, because straight away you're going to break it. If the client feels like you move to a pitch, you're going to lose them straight away. The third thing they need to hear of these three things is here's how we'll fix it, quote, together. So you want to break that down. This is what our plan would be if we worked together. And I do this with, again, I explain this to my clients when we talk about the discovery call. This is exactly the same, by the way, in when you're doing discovery calls, when you're getting also people into submission calls and getting them to take insurance. It's the same concept, but you want to make it very clear for them. Make it simple in a step formula, establishing what the next steps would be, how that would look, and give them the confidence to say yes. That's what you're trying to achieve here, is for them the confidence to say yes. Now, when you combine this, when you combine understanding of their situation, when you combine proof and you show that you have a plan, because that's what it is, understanding, proof and plan, then what happens is saying yes feels like the obvious next step. It is the next thing that they are going to do. And that's what you want. You want people to think, of course, the answer is yes. Now, if you want to know how you could use a similar kind of sales process to sell more insurance, check out this video here where I break down some of my insurance strategies my clients are using to massive effect. Give it a click.